Have you ever felt that some people drain your energy rather than bring you joy? Or that even after turning 60, there are still dreams waiting for you to fulfill, yet someone always tries to shut them down? And have you wondered, are there certain types of people you simply shouldn't share your life with at this stage? If so, this video is made for you. As we enter our later years, one of the most important decisions becomes who we choose to share our space and precious time with. More than ever, your mental peace, freedom, and well-being depend heavily on the people around you. But here's the truth. Some people do not add value to your life. Instead, they only make it more complicated and emotionally exhausting. The most dangerous part? You often don't realize it until it's too late. Today, we will explore 5 types of people you should avoid living with after 60, no matter how much you care about them or try to justify their presence. Allowing them into your life could steal your chance to live this precious stage with fullness and peace. If this is your first time here, I'm Gabriel. On this channel, we explore Stoic wisdom and other timeless philosophies to help you make better decisions and live with greater purpose. Stay until the end because the final type of person I will share may surprise you. They may seem supportive, but they actually control your life more than you realize. Number 1. Those who crush your dreams by reminding you of your age. Have you ever shared an exciting plan or dream only to hear cold words like, "At your age, you can't do that anymore"? Those so-called realistic words are like pouring ice water directly onto your passion. These people don't just remind you of your age, they subtly try to impose limits, as if your right to dream and grow expired along with your last birthday. Think about it. How many times have you hesitated because someone made you doubt yourself due to your age? These individuals, even if they mean well, become the executioners of your dreams. They make you believe that the clock not only measures time, but also measures your potential. But the truth? Turning 60 does not mean the end. For many of us, it's the moment when we finally have time to pursue the passions that busy years once kept out of reach. Whether it's learning something new, traveling, writing, or even starting a business, age can be an advantage, not a barrier. As George Bernard Shaw wisely said, "We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing." If you allow others to define you by a number, you may give up on life long before life ever gives up on you. Ask yourself, how many dreams have you put on hold thinking, maybe it's too late? Maybe it was a hobby, a project, or a trip you always wanted to take. And when you shared that idea, someone said, "You don't have the energy anymore," or "Leave that for young people." These are exactly the people you should avoid during this valuable stage of life. What they're really doing is projecting their own fears onto you. As Seneca said, "The greatest hindrance to living is the expectation of tomorrow and the waste of today." Take Sophia's story, for example. At 72, she decided to start painting, something she had postponed for decades. Her friends and family said it was too late and that painting was for the young. But Sophia ignored them. She signed up for classes, discovered hidden talents, and found a new way to express herself that brought more joy than she had felt in years. Best of all, she now shares her art with the world, something she would have missed out on had she let her age define her limits. Here's the wisdom you need to take away. If someone constantly reminds you of your age as a limitation, it's time to create distance. You don't need that negative energy in your life. Instead, surround yourself with people who support, encourage, and inspire you to keep growing and dreaming, because age shouldn't be a restraint. It should be a source of strength. After 60, you have an advantage younger people don't. You know yourself and life more deeply than ever before. As we explored before, age should never be the reason you hold yourself back. You've lived, you've grown, and you've gathered wisdom that allows you to face life with a richer perspective. So don't let anyone, or outdated beliefs, convince you that your time to dream and grow is over. In truth, it's not the years that limit you. It's the limits that others try to place upon you. Always remember, it's not your age holding you back. It's the beliefs you accept from others. Why allow someone else to define what's possible for you? As the philosopher Søren Kierkegaard once said, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. So yes, learn from your past, but never let it trap you. The next time someone tells you you're too old for that, pause, take a deep breath and ask yourself, is it really my age that's stopping me, or is it simply the opinions of others? If the answer is the latter, it's time to break free from that mindset. No matter how old you are, this is your life. And only you can decide how to live it. This is your time. Don't let anyone, not even those closest to you, convince you otherwise. Number 2, lovers who drain your peace with selfish demands. Romantic relationships at any stage in life should offer peace, support, and mutual growth. But as we grow older, these things become even more essential. At this stage, protecting your energy and emotional well-being should be your top priority. Picture this. You're past 65. You want simplicity. You want to savor quiet moments and enjoy your days in peace. But not all relationships provide that. Some partners do the opposite. Instead of walking alongside you, they expect you to carry the weight of their insecurities, fears, and constant demands. Slowly, it stops feeling like sharing life and starts feeling like you're giving away pieces of yourself. What makes this worse is that it often happens quietly. At first, it seems harmless. A small complaint here, a little request there, but over time, you may find yourself spending all your energy trying to meet their endless expectations. And then a critical question arises: is this really love, or have you become responsible for someone else's happiness at the expense of your own peace? Relationship expert Esther Perel reminds us, love is not all you need, but it gives you the courage to face everything. True love should feel like a safe haven, not a storm. If your partner leaves you drained, stressed, and constantly trying to please them, that's not love. It's emotional dependence disguised as love. And while this is dangerous at any stage of life, it's especially so now when your emotional health should come first. Consider the story of Fernando. At 70, he met someone who reignited his excitement for love, but over time, this person became demanding, constantly asking for his time, money, and attention. Complaints and new demands seemed endless. Fernando, who had worked hard his whole life to enjoy his retirement, soon realized the relationship felt more like a burden than a gift. Eventually, he made a hard but necessary decision. He ended the relationship, realizing true companionship should lift you up, not weigh you down. One of the most important lessons Stoicism teaches us is to distinguish between what is within our control and what is not. When it comes to relationships, the only thing you can control is what you choose to tolerate. If you find yourself in a relationship where your emotional needs are ignored, where love feels one-sided, it's time to reevaluate that connection. As Seneca said, the most powerful person is the one who has control over themselves. That includes deciding who you allow into your life and under what terms. Let's be clear, solitude is not worse than being in a bad relationship. There is a big difference between chosen solitude and imposed loneliness. Choosing to be alone if it protects your mental peace is an act of true courage. If a relationship takes more than it gives, then being alone can be liberating. It allows you to reconnect with yourself and preserve the peace you deserve. We talked about how being with a partner who drains your energy can take away your peace. But they aren't the only ones who may unknowingly hold you back. There's another group, seemingly dear to your heart, that can quietly tie you to a role you should have let go of long ago. They are dependent adult children. As you know, one of life's greatest joys is raising children and watching them grow into independent adults. It's a journey filled with love, sacrifice, and pride. But sometimes that journey doesn't end the way we imagined. Some children, though grown in age, never truly step out on their own. They continue depending on you emotionally, financially, and even for basic responsibilities that should be theirs. And here lies a difficult truth. Instead of helping you enjoy the independence you've worked hard for, their dependence unintentionally sabotages it. Ask yourself, have you found yourself in this situation? Your grown children, with jobs of their own, still rely on you for financial help, emotional support, and solving everyday problems they should already know how to handle. Out of love you step up, but over time you realize you're stuck in the role of caretaker once again. And that role, it slowly chips away at the freedom you spent your life building. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Each of us is responsible for our own lives." This truth applies to both you and your children. At this stage of life, your mission is no longer to live your children's lives, but to fully live your own. When you allow them to remain dependent, whether out of worry or fear of letting go, you both become stuck in an unhealthy relationship. Dynamic. Think carefully. How much of your time, energy, and resources are still being spent solving problems that are no longer yours? This doesn't mean you stop loving your children, but it does mean you need to draw a clear line between helping them and carrying them. Instead of pushing them forward, you become the anchor holding them back. Without realizing it, you're tied to responsibilities that no longer belong to you. Look at Julia's story. She had 2 adult children, both over 30, still living at home because they hadn't yet figured out their own paths. Though both had jobs, they continued asking Julia for financial and emotional support. She always said yes. After all, she loved them deeply. But gradually, Julia began to feel trapped. Her life became all about solving their problems, leaving her little space to enjoy her own. At first, Julia felt guilty for wanting freedom, but eventually she knew something had to change, so she had an honest conversation with her children. She explained that it was time for them to take responsibility for their lives because she needed the space to fully enjoy hers. It wasn't easy, but Julia understood that this step was not only essential for her own well-being, but also for her children's growth. What seemed like a selfish decision was actually the push her children needed to truly become independent. Julia's story reveals an uncomfortable reality. When you allow your adult children to stay dependent, you not only deprive yourself of the freedom you've earned, but you also rob them of the chance to mature and build their own lives. Independence is vital, not just for you, but for them as well. If they don't learn how to stand on their own, the consequences will be much deeper and more damaging than you may realize. We discussed how adult children's dependence can unintentionally tie you down, keeping you in a role you were meant to move beyond. That dependency not only limits their growth, but also takes away your chance to truly enjoy the freedom you've worked so hard to earn. Now is your time to prioritize yourself. As the French philosopher Simone de Beauvoir wisely said, "In old age one must finally find the freedom that youth denied us." And that freedom? It's more than just being able to travel or spend as you wish. It's about having the power to decide how you want to live, free from the constant demands of others, even your own children. So, how do you handle this situation gracefully? The key lies in setting loving but firm boundaries. It's not about cutting ties or pushing your children away. It's about helping them understand that it's now their turn to take responsibility for their lives. At this stage, your role is no longer to solve every problem, but rather to guide them from a healthy distance while protecting your own emotional space. Admittedly, this can be difficult, especially if you've spent years as their primary support system. But this step is crucial. It is necessary for both their growth and your well-being. Remember, independence isn't just about physical separation. It's about emotional independence too. You have both the right and the responsibility to protect that space for yourself. By doing so, you are not abandoning your children. On the contrary, you are giving them the opportunity to grow and learn how to stand on their own. Sometimes the most valuable lesson you can teach them is, you are capable of living your own life without my constant intervention. So if you find yourself living with adult children who still depend on you, pause and reflect. Is this arrangement truly beneficial for both sides? Or is it keeping us all stuck in an unhealthy pattern? You've worked your entire life to reach this point. At 65 or older, you deserve to enjoy autonomy and fulfillment. Don't let fear or guilt hold you back from reclaiming your freedom. As poet Khalil Gibran beautifully expressed, your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. Now it's their time to fly with their own wings, and yours to live freely, unburdened and fulfilled. If you're enjoying this video so far and discovering new ways to protect your peace and freedom in later life, please consider subscribing and liking this video. It helps me continue creating meaningful content for those who wish to embrace this stage with serenity, autonomy, and purpose. Stay tuned, because in lesson number 6, we'll dive into a surprising truth about the hidden ways certain relationships can control your life, and more importantly, how to take back that control. Number 4, the carriers of complaints and negativity. Have you ever spent time with someone who always seems to find something to complain about? People who, no matter what happens, focus only on the negative side of things. You might not realize it, but this type of attitude is highly contagious, especially when you live with or frequently interact with them. At this stage in life, the last thing you need is to be caught in an endless cycle of negativity. That energy doesn't just test your patience, it slowly erodes your mental and emotional well-being. As we grow older, the space we occupy and the people we surround ourselves with matter more than ever before. This is no longer the time to just tolerate everything or always try to be understanding. It's about protecting your peace of mind. People who constantly flood your life with complaints, pessimism, and frustration are sabotaging the tranquility you've worked so hard to create. As Buddha once said, you will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger. The same applies to negativity. It's not only about how negative they are, it's about how that negativity affects you when exposed to it every day. Surprisingly, these carriers of complaints often don't do it intentionally. They may be family, close friends, or even life partners, but intentional or not, their constant complaining slowly drains your joy and makes it harder to appreciate the simple, beautiful moments of life. Remember, the environment we create around us deeply impacts our quality of life. A life filled with constant complaints is a life drained of color, optimism, and most importantly, peace. Take Pedro's story, for example. After retiring, he decided to move in with an old friend who was going through tough times. Being the optimist he was, Pedro believed he could help shift his friend's outlook on life. But over time, his friend's daily complaints about the economy, his health, the news, and even the weather slowly began to weigh Pedro down. We reflected on Pedro's story. A naturally optimistic man who thought he could help a friend shift toward a brighter perspective. However, instead of uplifting the environment, Pedro slowly got caught in his friend's endless complaints and negativity. This became a powerful lesson for him. Sometimes it's not about changing others, it's about changing how you respond to them. Despite his efforts to change the subject or focus on the positives, his friend kept circling back to negativity. More complaints, more problems. Day by day, this constant cycle did more than just annoy Pedro. It began to quietly wear down his spirit. Eventually, he came to an important realization. He couldn't change his friend, but he could change how he chose to engage. So Pedro decided to limit his time with this friend and instead surround himself with people who shared his optimism and passion for enjoying life to the fullest. This small but crucial decision made a huge difference to his mental and emotional well-being. Sometimes the most important thing we need to do is recognize when a relationship or living situation is draining us and to find the courage to create distance for our own peace of mind. This is where a timeless lesson from Stoicism comes into play. You can't control what others do or say, but you can control how you respond, as Epictetus wisely reminds us. It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our interpretation of their significance. When it comes to negative people, this is especially true. You may not be able to make them stop complaining, but you can choose not to let their negativity pull you down. You can choose who enters your space, who you spend your precious time with, and most importantly, what energy you allow into your life. Negativity has a subtle influence. Little by little, you start adopting their perspective. You begin seeing life through their lens, focusing on what's wrong instead of appreciating what's right. And without realizing it, their complaints can become the background noise that drowns out your happiness. But you don't have to let that happen. Here's how you can set practical boundaries. First, don't engage with their complaints. When someone starts complaining, gently shift the conversation to something positive. If that doesn't work, it might be time to reduce how much time you spend with them. You don't have to be rude or harsh, but you do need to be firm in protecting your emotional space. If you live with someone like this, find ways to balance out their negativity with positivity from other sources. Take solo walks to clear your mind. Join groups of positive, like-minded people, or dive into hobbies that bring you joy and relaxation. Another essential tool is practicing gratitude. Gratitude is the perfect antidote to negativity. Each day, take a few moments to reflect on the good things in your life, from the smallest pleasures to the bigger blessings. Even on difficult days, there's always something to be thankful for. This simple habit will help you stay grounded in positivity, even when your surroundings are filled with negativity. As German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once warned, "He who fights with monsters should be careful lest he thereby become a monster." In other words, if you spend too much time with negative people, you risk becoming negative too. Protect your joy. Don't sacrifice your ability to enjoy life just to endure someone else's endless complaints. In short, protecting your peace of mind is not optional. It is essential, especially in this stage of life. If someone around you is a constant source of negativity, set clear boundaries. Don't let their dark outlook cloud your daily life. This is your time, a time to enjoy what you've built, to live in tranquility, and to be surrounded by people who lift you up, pull you down. We discussed how negative people and complainers can quietly drain your spirit, but there is another type of person who can have an even deeper impact, not just spreading negativity, but quietly and constantly draining your emotional energy every single day. They are what we call emotional vampires. Imagine this. You're trying to protect your peace of mind, cherishing each calm and joyful moment you have. But then someone enters your life. A person always in crisis, always needing comfort and solutions. Every interaction with them leaves you feeling tired, frustrated, and slowly you forget to care for yourself. That's exactly how emotional vampires operate. They may not intend to do harm, but their constant emotional dependence becomes a heavy burden on you. The biggest trap when living with or being close to someone like this is simple. You feel responsible for saving them, for always being their rock. But here, Stoicism offers a powerful reminder. You cannot carry the emotional burdens of others. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When an emotional vampire steps into your life, their negativity and constant demands start contaminating your mind. It affects not just your thoughts, but your entire well-being. So what can you do? Setting firm boundaries is key. Boundaries not only protect your energy, but also send a clear message. I cannot be your only source of emotional support. Stoic philosophy teaches us to distinguish between what we can and cannot control. You cannot change another person's emotions or struggles, but you can control your reactions and how much you let them affect you. One highly effective strategy is practicing emotional distancing. This doesn't mean cutting people off completely, but it does mean creating an emotional buffer zone so that their problems don't become yours. Learn to listen without absorbing. Be present, but don't let yourself get pulled so deep that it overwhelms you. Yes, it can be challenging at first, but it's an essential skill if you want to preserve your peace. In addition, you must never forget to prioritize self-care. When someone is draining you emotionally, it's very easy to forget about your own needs. But the truth is, the more you take care of yourself, the more resilient you will be around these people. Make time for activities that help you recharge, whether it's meditation, walking, reading, or simply doing what brings you joy. When your emotional battery is full, you are much better equipped to resist the drain caused by emotional vampires. Another important concept is limited empathy. It's natural to feel empathy, but when dealing with emotional vampires, you need to learn when to say enough. This does not mean being unkind, but rather, it means being kind to yourself first. Know when to offer support, when to step back, and when to protect your own well-being. Just because you live with someone does not mean you have to absorb their emotions. You are living your life, not theirs. If you allow emotional vampires to drain you day after day, you are sacrificing your well-being for someone who may not even realize what they are doing. Here, the Stoic concept of the dichotomy of control becomes essential. You cannot control the depth of their problems or emotions, but you can control how much of your energy you allow them to take. If you become aware that someone is draining your emotional reserves, you need to act wisely, set clear boundaries, surround yourself with people who uplift you, and most importantly, prioritize your mental peace above all else. At this stage of life, you deserve tranquility. There is no reason to sacrifice that for someone else's constant emotional crises. As psychologist Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams, but who looks inside awakens. As you age, it is vital to look inward and recognize your own needs. If you let others constantly drain your energy, you are not truly living in the present moment. Protect yourself. Guard your emotional space. And always remember, you are not responsible for solving anyone else's life. This is your time. And at the end of the day, it's not about rejecting others, but about preserving your ability to live your life fully. Your energy is valuable, and it's your duty to protect it. Earlier, we discussed how emotional vampires can silently drain your energy day by day. But now let's turn to another kind of person, one whose influence may seem caring on the surface, but in reality, slowly begins to take control of your life. They are the caretakers who, in the name of love, start making decisions for you. At a certain stage of life, it's natural for your children or family members to want to become more involved. They begin offering help or even making decisions on your behalf, thinking it's for your own good. But there is a thin line between caring and controlling. When those who say they care begin deciding for you, taking over your choices and imposing their will, they are no longer helping. They are limiting your autonomy. You may have heard phrases like, "Don't worry, we'll handle that," or "You don't need to worry about this decision, I'll take care of it." Though these words sound kind, they slowly take away your ability to make your own choices and live according to your wishes. What starts as simple help can quickly turn into subtle control, leaving you with little say in the important aspect of your life. Have you ever felt fully capable of making decisions, yet your children or family assumed it was better for them to decide for you? While their actions may come from love and concern, they can easily become suffocating. Stoicism teaches us that personal freedom is among life's greatest treasures. Giving up control of your own decisions, even when you're perfectly able to make them, is a slow erosion of your freedom. As Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." So, how can you handle this delicate situation? First, it's important to recognize when help turns into control. Children, often driven by fear for your well-being, may start making choices without asking for your input. From financial matters to health decisions, from where you live to what you do daily, you may find yourself slowly pushed to the sidelines of your own life. At this stage, more than ever, you need to retain control over how you live. Accepting help is fine, but that help should always be collaborative, not imposed. You are still the author of your own story. Don't hand over the steering wheel even if their intentions are good. Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane." In this case, your children are not misguided, but the situation they create can become harmful when they fail to respect your capacity to choose. It's crucial to have clear, honest conversations. If you feel your family is taking too much control, establish boundaries. Let them know you value their support, but you are still capable of making decisions for yourself. These boundaries not only protect your autonomy, but also help your loved ones understand that while they care for you, they must respect your independence. Practical solution is to practice shared decision-making. Invite your children to share their concerns, while you bring your wisdom and experience to the table, but make sure the final decisions, when they concern your life, remain yours. This fosters balance and helps maintain a healthier and more respectful relationship. Take a moment to reflect. Do you want your later years to be defined by other people's decisions? Or do you want this chapter to be a time of peace where you enjoy the freedom you have earned? As Seneca said, the most important part of life is to enjoy what we have in this moment. And true enjoyment can only come when you are in control of your own choices. Accepting support does not mean surrendering your independence. The challenge lies in finding the balance where you receive the help you need while still holding on to your right to decide. Remember, this is your time. You deserve to live it your way, not according to someone else's view of what's best for you. Regardless of age, your dignity and right to make your own choices should never be negotiable. Appreciate the love and support of those around you, but stand firm in your right to live on your own terms. Life after 60 holds countless opportunities to rediscover yourself, enjoy your freedom, and surround yourself with people who truly add value. Throughout this video, we've explored the types of people you should avoid living with at this stage because your peace of mind, autonomy, and happiness are more valuable than ever before. You now have the wisdom and experience to choose how you want your years ahead to unfold. Surround yourself with relationships that respect your freedom, that allow you to grow, and most of all, that bring you peace. If you've made it this far, please comment, "I am Stoic," and share where you're watching from. I'd love to know who is walking this path of self-mastery and conscious living with me. Don't forget to share this video. Sometimes a simple message can completely change someone's life. And until next time, remember, this is your time. Claim it, live it, and never let anyone else steer your life. See you in the next video.